Hi, I wanted to do a demo to kind of compare and contrast my three Les Pauls. On the left is Epiphone Standard Plus top. In the middle is a Gibson USA faded cherry finish. And on the right is an Epiphone 1960 tribute model. Hey, before I got started on the actual demo, I wanted to talk a little bit about the process I use when I buy guitars. I'm obviously not a professional musician, and I just kind of do this as a hobby. So I can't really justify going out and paying $2,000 or $3,000 to buy one guitar. My whole guitar collection probably cost me about that. What I do like to do is, find bargains and try to get the most value that I can out of the money that I'm spending. So I've bought several import guitars, primarily Hamers and Epiphones, over the past few years, and always found them to be pretty good quality and pretty good value for the dollar. Also have a couple of USA made carvings, and again, I don't know if I could necessarily justify buying a brand new carving, but for whatever reason they lose a lot of their value on the used market, so you're able to get a pretty good deal there. And just recently, as part of my Christmas present, I bought a Gibson USA Studio guitar, and I also bought that on eBay. So right now I have three different models of Les Paul. I've got two Epiphones and one Gibson. So I kind of want to walk you through some of the, compare and contrast the features, and then in the very end I'll do a blind sound demo, so you can take a listen. These three different Les Pauls on the new market cost about the same thing. If you go into Guitar Center, the Gibson USA faded studios are like $799. They aren't new anymore, but the 1960 Epiphone tributes I think were around $800 too. The Epiphone Standard, I think they run about $400 or $500, but the one I've got has some pickup upgrades, which probably installed would cost $200, $250. So just from a pure price point, the three guitars new would be about the same thing. On the used market, the Epiphone Standard I got for around $400, and then the Les Paul and the Epiphone 1960 I both got for a little less than $600 each. So from a price point, these three guitars I think are comparable. So now we'll start looking kind of down the guitar at the similarities and the differences. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at are the tuning pegs in the headstock. So we can get it with no glare. This is the Epiphone Standard, and it comes with Grover tuners, which just from my personal experience, this guitar stays in tune very well. The Gibson USA has the old style tuners and has like the plastic tulip knobs, and I guess depending on how long you plan to keep this guitar, I guess that's the only bad thing I've ever heard is that the plastic, like on the old 50s guitars, a lot of those crack just because they're plastic. But again, I haven't had this guitar but for a week or two, but it stays in tune pretty well. The Epiphone 1960 Tribute has Grovers also, but they're locking tuners, and the locking mechanism is actually in the shaft of the peg. And actually, this one doesn't stay in tune as well as the other two, even though they're locking tuners. I've got some locking tuners on my carving guitars that work great, but these, I mean, they do okay, but also compared to the other two guitars, I have to give the edge to the Gibson and the Epiphone Les Paul Standard. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the necks. On all these guitars, the necks are rosewood fingerboard, and I guess acrylic inlays. And the biggest difference on these guitars are the finish and the actual profile. This Epiphone Standard has the biggest, thickest neck, and it has like the polished type of finish on it. It does have binding where the neck meets the fingerboard. Comfortable to play compared to my other guitars. I like the thicker neck. The Gibson USA kind of has the thicker neck too, which I like. But here, the finish, I think, is the biggest thing that I like about this. It just has a very light finish, so it feels almost like it's unfinished, and very smooth, very easy to slide around. This model doesn't have any binding on the edge of the neck, and with everything on the Gibson, the finish, or the lack of finish, is, I guess, what keeps the costs down. But to me, very comfortable to play, and probably out of the three, I like the neck on this one the best. On the 1960 Tribute, I don't know if you can tell the difference here, but this one has the slim 1960s profile neck, which I don't like as much, but it's still pretty comfortable to play. And it does have the binding down the side of the neck. As far as just a pure finish, I think they put the most work into the 1960 Tribute model. So on this one, I have to give the neck the edge to the Gibson USA. Okay, now we're going to talk about the electronics a little bit. The Epiphone Standard. The only thing that I really don't like about it is the knobs are feel kind of cheap, and the motion in the turning mechanism isn't as solid as it should be, I don't think. I mean, it sounds okay, but I mean, you can tell especially compared to the next two. And this has like the old witch hat type knobs, which may be some of it. The pickup selector is probably not the highest quality one that they make, and I think that's where Epiphone saves a lot of money, is on their electronics. Now this one, it does have pickup upgrades, so it's got a Seymour Duncan pearly gates in the neck and a Gibson USA 57 Classic in the bridge. So those are fairly upscale pickups, for lack of a better word. So that's really the thing that makes this guitar comparable to the other two. The Gibson USA Um, has the high quality Switchcraft switch for the pickup selector, and I mean you can tell the difference, like with the knobs. When you turn the knobs, they just feel different than the Epiphones. They do have the old big plastic speed knobs, and again that may be one piece of it. The pickups on here are burst buckers, which are some of Gibson's best pickups. So again, they didn't, like, this guitar skimps on the finish, but they don't skimp on the electronics. An Epiphone 1960 Tribute. Both pickups are the Gibson USA 57 Classics, so this comes stock with upgraded pickups. It comes with the same type of pickup selector. I think it's a Mallory Switchcraft that they use for the pickup selectors, and then the tone and volume knobs, they have the same feel to me as the Gibson USA. So, and actually these have a pull-out series to parallel switch too. So the electronics on these two, the Gibson USA and the Epiphone 1960, very similar. Epiphone, I think, took all the electronics that they use in their Gibson USAs and put it in this model. So, as far as electronics, stock, I would say they're very comparable, these two. This, I don't know how the Epiphone stock pickups sound, but with pickup upgrades, I think the only thing that's lacking on this one, I said, is the electronics and the actual knobs. Okay, now we're going to talk about the actual finish of the guitar a little bit. I think just visually, looking at them from a distance, you can't probably really see the flame too much on this. This is a plus top. It's got a mahogany back, and it's got the transparent amber finish on the front. It does have binding between the top and the bottom of the guitar and on the neck. Now, for this Epiphone, although it has a maple top, I don't know how thick that top is. It's probably not very thick at all. It's probably just like a veneer that they've put over the mahogany. So it's not really like a thick cap like you might think. It does look good, and it's for a production line guitar. It's I think got a pretty good finish on it, fit finish. The Gibson USA, again, this is how they save money on these and can sell them for $800. Is that they don't put a lot of work into the finish. I mean, it's a nice smooth finish, and the fit of the guitar is pretty nice, but you just see it's one color. I don't know if you can see here, hopefully you can, but especially where it's a little bit different color, but it's got a maple. This model has a maple top and then the mahogany back, but still overall I think an attractive finish. Maybe not one you think of when you think of Les Pauls. Most people think about finish more like this, where you've got the mahogany back, you've got the binding along the neck and the body, and then you have the sunburst. And this one, it's got a maple top, but it's more of a plain maple, but still I think a very nice finish. So As far as the finish, I think I have to give it to the Epiphone 1960 Tribute. Okay, so I forgot to mention that the Gibson Studio has a chambered body, and the two Epiphones are non-chambered. So to me, the Epiphone Standard weighs the most, then the 1960, then the Gibson. So if you're like me and you're just playing for like 20 or 30 minutes, once or twice a week, that's not a big deal. But if you've got it strapped to your shoulder a couple hours every night, that make a difference. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is kind of a blind sound test. I'm going to go through my Vox little night train out, mic'd directly with a SM57 Shure microphone. And the guitars are going to be set exactly alike. On the dirty parts, I'll be doing the bridge pickup with tone on 10 and volume on 10. And on the clean part, I'll be doing the neck pickup with volume on 10 and tone on 10. So any differences you hear in tone or sustain or volume is just going to be the differences in the guitar. So I've already listened to it, and to me, that when I do the dirty stuff, it's kind of hard to even tell a difference. When I do the clean stuff, it's a little bit, you can hear a little bit of difference, probably mainly from the different pickups. But most demos, they show you the guitar as they're playing it, and you get a thing in your mind. It's like, oh well, of course the Gibson is better, or of course the 1960 Epiphone is going to be better than the standard Epiphone. So what I'm going to do is just have guitar A, B, and C, and then at the end of the video, I'll tell you which guitar is which.